So the FNAF movie's been out for about a week now, and I figured now would be a great time to talk about it. This is going to be a spoiler review, but if you're curious about just general spoiler-free thoughts, I really enjoyed the movie. As a longtime fan of the series, I've been waiting for this since it was first announced, and then it moved studios and whatnot. It's not perfect. I understand why critics didn't love it, though I don't think it necessarily should have as low of a score as it does. But as a fan, I really enjoyed this movie. If I had to give it like a number rating, maybe like a high 7, low 8 out of 10. I think that's fair. I think there's room for improvement, and I'm going to be talking about that more later on. But yeah, that's just my 2 cents on this. Now let's get to the actual spoiler stuff, right? So I feel like a way to describe this movie would be sort of cheesy murder mystery with like horror elements, but I don't know if I'd necessarily call it a horror movie because I didn't find it really scary, which I was surprised by because I get scared pretty easily. No! This way. Thank you. And good. But I feel like that's something they could maybe improve on with the sequel. That being said though, intro, especially with the credits, amazing, perfect. You know, we have our standard security guard getting sacrificed to show that there is a threat. And the just retro, I don't know if it's 8-bit necessarily, just pixelated, there we go. Pixelated animation with the music. It was amazing, showcasing the missing children's incident. I thought it was an interesting choice since I thought we would be getting flashbacks to the 80s with the actual humans, since the tape recording that Mike watches later on had that. I was like jamming in my seat from how good the intro is. That music did not need to go as hard as it does, and I know there's so many memes about that now, but it well deserved, man. The soundtrack overall was just amazing, but that intro in particular, just wow. Now I knew going into it, that I'd like Josh's performance. Piper is new, I think, to the acting scene, and I thought she did a great job as Abby as well. I really bought that Mike and Abby were these siblings that really cared for each other, and Mike especially just doing what he can as the older brother to make sure Abby stays with him. Like, it got me really attached to the characters because of that. And I know that there was like some critiques by reviewers that were like, yeah, who cares about the human stuff? It's like the fans want to get to the animatronics, but I don't think that's the case at all. And we really needed to get attached to Mike because he's like the main character of the game series in general, and for him to be likable in the movie was super important. I also, I don't know if general audiences picked this up immediately, because I know that there was talks about why Mike had this trauma in his past that he was dealing with, and so I knew immediately going into the movie, it's like, oh yeah, his younger brother was taken by William Afton, and well, might as well talk about William Afton, or rather, Steve Raglan. This guy needed so many more scenes. Matthew Lillard's performance was the best of the film, I feel. His performance both in and out of his yellow rabbit suit. I really wish he had more, because it felt like we saw him at the beginning when he gave Mike the job, and then nothing for a while, and then he comes in at the end, and it just felt a little rushed, because when he came in, it was like the spotlight was just on him. His performance was amazing, and I hope, when he comes back in the future, because of course he's gonna come back. He always comes back. I really hope that he gets more scenes, more to do. Now, the surprise connection to Steve Raglan, of course, is that he has a daughter. It is not, in fact, that Mike is his son. It is that Vanessa is his daughter, which threw me off completely, because I was so certain that, he specifically kidnaps Mike's brother because that's his son too, or whatever. There was gonna be some connection. I don't know, man. But Vanessa, she was weird to me throughout the whole movie, and obviously that reveal explains why she was so weird. She was suspicious to me. It was hard to trust her, and then that reveal, I was just so confused and thrown off. I don't know, I'm just gotta say, she's still a little weird to me for knowing that there are decaying children corpses in these animatronics, and she's still just casually building a table with them, laying down with them. Letting Abby get as close to them as she let her get close. Yeah, that was a sentence. I don't know. I know that she's in a comatized state right now. I'm curious what her role will be in the future. I'm curious if she's even going to remember how she got there. If she does, she remember that she helped Mike out at the end. But yeah, Vanessa, just weird vibes all around. Well, and with a murdering father, I guess that makes sense. One thing I gotta note is I felt the break-in scene was one of the best scenes of the movie. That was really where it felt the most like a horror movie because, well, people were dying. I guess this is a good time to talk. Freddy and Bonnie didn't do much in the movie for me, but they definitely had the best kills of the movie. And speaking of the animatronics, Chica and Foxy were for sure the standouts of the animatronics. Well, Chica and her cupcake, technically. But it was surprising because, you know, Chica's probably the most underrated of the original four. Foxy, of course, has been special since day one, but I was still just amazed by his performance. Him and his kid, like, they were probably the creepiest of the group, and they had a goal and they were set out to complete it, man. And Chica and her cupcake in particular was such a menace throughout the whole movie. I don't know why he had such bloodlust, but he was going crazy. I don't know if this movie follows the canon or if it was just a fan theory that Chica's like the child spirit and her dog is her cupcake, but the cupcake definitely felt like a dog being unleashed to go attack someone. Like, he was rabid and I loved it. I also want to technically shout out the little balloon boy toy that kept jump scaring. I didn't understand what it was necessarily because it's not Balloon Boy himself, and yet it still feels like it was alive because of the jump scares. I don't know what's up with that, but I'm really excited to see Balloon Boy, hopefully in the next one, because he's definitely got potential to be one of the creepiest of the movie series. Now, Golden Freddy was actually really weird to me because he only shows up for like one part of the movie, and like his child spirit is there throughout, of course, but he's only ever active in the actual animatronic when he goes to get Abby, and I didn't understand why, because the fan theory when the trailers first came out was like, oh, Golden Freddy must be like her Garrett, you know, Garrett's spirit must be wanting to protect Abby. Not the case at all. I didn't understand like why he only appeared for that one part and then just completely disappeared up until the scene where you see his spirit trapping William, keeping him alive, I think. I don't know, but yeah, Golden Freddy was weird to me. At least, you know, he gave us the Corey Kenshin cameo. But I don't know, I feel like him and the Yellow Rabbit fall into that category where I needed more of them. The Yellow Rabbit especially, but Golden Freddy, I don't know what his deal is. He's always been weird, but I just feel like he could have done more, maybe? Now, I'd say the first and third act were probably my favorite. The second act is fine too, of course. You know, we get some goofy animatronic moments with Abby in them, but I really was just waiting for when things ramped up because, you know, like, ever since we saw Spring Bonnie in the trailer, I was wondering, what's he gonna do? You know, he's got his knife, he's this big threat. He's really tall, too. And I felt that when he came in, he really had this, like, strong, scary presence. But then, I don't know, I felt it got resolved so fast. And I did like how it got resolved with, you know, Abby's drawing, like, Abby's drawings have been present throughout the whole movie as something important to build up to that. And that was also how he was defeated in the books when, I forget what the name was, but a character had replaced the drawing showing the happy yellow rabbit with what his true intentions are, you know, this angry, murderous rabbit. And then that convinced the spirits. It was like, oh, this is the man who took our lives. And then they gang up on him. It's exactly what happens in the movie. I thought that was a great callback to the Silver Eyes, but it all happened so fast just because I felt a Steve/William/ the Yellow Rabbit. I wanted so much more from them because they did such a good job. And I hope, like I said before, I hope that we get more scenes with him in the future. Though everybody else did a good job too, of course. The animatronics, I love them so much. I want to see more animatronic scenes in the future, especially if they're gonna be going with the Wizards. I think that could both help give us more of them and also make it scarier, because that's really something that I felt was definitely lacking with this movie, where it just wasn't that scary. I don't think it needs to be R-rated though. I feel like they can definitely manage something much spookier with their still like PG-13 rating. And I can't wait to see more from this universe overall, because of course I had a great time watching it, even though my theater experience was ruined because there were this group of kids that could not stop talking throughout most of the movie. but the movie was still great. Overall, you know, you guys have probably seen it already, but if you haven't and you're a fan of this series, this movie is for you. And that is technically something that they have been saying throughout the marketing that they have been able to give, you know. This is a movie for the fans. All of the Easter eggs, I feel, really add to the movie, and I barely touched upon them. That's just something only fans of the series will catch on. Little references like Dream Theory or the cameos too, you know, like MatPat was in the movie. This has a lot of heart in it. We've known this since they first showed the animatronics, since stuff was getting leaked, since this logo was being shown off. Like, they really do care. And that's why so many of us enjoyed this movie in the fandom. Because we know that they cared, we see that they cared, we just want to see it succeed so that we get more from this universe. That being said, I have several questions. Firstly, what the heck happened to Aunt Jane, you know? Like, I know none of us liked her necessarily, but I'm still questioning, you know, did Golden Freddy just knock her out or kill her? Because she was just kind of left lying in Mike and Abby's living room, and then by the ending, they're back in their house as if everything's normal and there's just no mention of her. That was really confusing and concerning to me, you know, like, I know Vanessa's your cop friend, but I don't think she could help you guys out if your aunt that was supposed to be taking custody of this child is, you know, dead. And then, of course, with the Steve not being Mike's father reveal, it's like, why did he go so far? You, like, cross states to kidnap Garrett? It's really weird unless, you know, there's some connection to the parents maybe, but they just seem like normal people to me. It's not like they're the ones who own the restaurant. And that being said, does Steve actually own the restaurant? Or, because, you know, he did talk about it like, the owner just doesn't want to let it go, but it's never explicitly said that he owns it. Though Vanessa does know where everything is, so who knows, really. Another thing I have to wonder too is if Abby will become Baby in the future. Because, you know, her name, anagram for baby, of course, but that was like with the mindset that she was William's daughter in some way, that she was going to be, I don't know, like scooped in some way. But I don't know, if there's no like parental connection, it makes me question if that's actually gonna happen or if her name is just a reference. Because Abby is also a nickname for Elizabeth, which is like, you know, it's too many coincidences to not happen, but it just, I don't know how it would make sense because Baby's typically the one helping William. And one of my final questions is, of course, what the heck is up with the BB toys? Because if they're not possessed, why are they trying to scare people so often? Like, how did one of them end up in Corey's taxi? That doesn't make any sense. And I mentioned this in my FNAF 4 video, but I kind of like started connecting things that I don't know if they should be connected. Like, just a tiny theory, right? I don't know if Vanessa is in some way connected to like crying child representation in the games, in which I mean, like, they both saw something they weren't supposed to with William being their father, and I don't know if that's like, it's like Vanessa had to help out in the movies with cleaning up her father's like quote unquote accidents, mistakes, whatever you want to call them, right? But is the crying child in a similar place where he saw these murders? I don't know if he necessarily had to help clean it up, but you know what I mean? Is there a connection there with Vanessa's character, her childhood, and crying child's childhood? Or am I just overthinking things? That's where I'll be leaving off, you know, just the thoughts that I have. But like I said, overall, I really enjoyed this movie. There's definitely room for improvement, but I think it is a great first like theatrical experience for the fans. Watching this tiny indie project turn into, what is it, like one of the top grossing video game movies of all time, one of the top grossing Halloween weekend movies of all time, like that's insane. Whatever you'll think of the movie itself, right, you gotta acknowledge just the work that's been put into it, like especially with the practicals. I respect them so much for building actual animatronics to use, for building this set, like the restaurant. I can't wait to see more from them, man. And I really hope that you guys have seen this movie by now. And if you haven't, what the heck are you waiting for? That is gonna do it for today though. I hope this review wasn't too messy. It's my first time doing something like this, so let me know how I can improve. But until next time, Pebbles out!